I am.
Awesome. Feel free to share your screen, and we're good to go.
All right, we'll get off and running here. Thanks everybody for having us. My name is Siles. I'm the global field CTO for security here at Rubrik. I'm also a VMUG leader myself. I run the Tampa VMUG here down in Florida. So it's always good to be back in and participating in VMUGs, especially expanding the community. And so I'll extend the invite the other way too. So anybody, we're all doing virtual meetings. Anybody that's interested in joining a virtual meeting for another community, just go out to VMUG communities and jump in and register for some of those other ones. Ours will be on the 18th of February. But happy to be here. So at Rubrik, I cover product security globally in the field, and I'm responsible for some of our emerging products that we're going to talk about today, and really want to help give you a quick level set of how Rubrik is not only changing the landscape of data protection, but how we're helping customers really survive and recover, from the landscape that is in the world today, ransomware included. And so before I kick into the presentation here, I'm actually gonna go off just to get a little bit of excitement going. I'll go ahead and kick off a ransomware attack here inside of my lab. And while that's taking our data hostage, I'll walk you through, kind of our platform, and then we'll come back and we'll actually recover from this attack. So, the landscape's changed quite a bit, and as people make the migration to multi-cloud, hybrid cloud, there's been change in how you manage and maintain data. And really, the secret of success here is you modernize through automation. And so Rubrik's taking in the perspective that, the data imperative has changed, and that you have to modernize and automate to have data management at scale. And then, it doesn't stay within the four walls of the business anymore. And the extensions beyond the private cloud is now extending to public cloud, and most people are some form of hybridity and doing extensive management across multiple clouds. And data risk is obviously core to keeping your business operating and maintaining it not only for security of your data, but also for compliance of your data. And being able to address these concerns is kind of the reason why Rubrik has changed the model, right? Because legacy solutions just can't keep up, right? They're become very complex to manage at scale. They're oftentimes slower, non-responsive when it comes to timely recovery, and keeping some of the legacy infrastructure running is just not cost-effective anymore for a lot of businesses. And then security is kind of key, right? We're going to talk about security here today, but being able to have security and resilience at the point of data is absolutely critical, especially when it comes to talking about recovering from things like ransomware, natural disasters, and business continuity needs. And being able to do this in an automated fashion, so you don't have to think about it. You shouldn't have to manage backups anymore. It should just be simplicity and driven through automation. You should be able to have native integration with all your application stacks, and it should be a set it and forget it type of approach. And have that being done through a policy-based approach with security built into it, and then helping you really understand how to take advantage of exploiting the value of cloud, whether that's moving, lifting, shifting applications from on-premise to the cloud, embracing cloud and cloud native formats, or having my mobility choices. Maybe it's cheaper to run on the cloud today and back on premise tomorrow. Being able to move those workloads back and forth is a core requirement for a lot of enterprises today. And so Rubrik, we've done this through modernizing backup and modernizing protection. This is what most people know us for. We've taken all the components that have typically been thought of required to manage backups. We've compressed that down into a single software-defined package and deliver this in a secure fashion to our customers. And we also accelerate recovery. No one backs up just to back up. Being able to back up to be able to recover in a timely need, giving customers the ability to have that with instant RTOs and RPOs is kind of a hallmark of Rubrik, and we deliver that in scale across all the enterprise applications that we protect. And then we help customers save money, with the Rubrik Go packaging of our product, maintenance renewals, forklift upgrades, all the complex deployment of requirements. It's all gone. We collapse that down into a subscription-based model, provide all those services as part of the turnkey operation, and save our customers on average, 30 to 50% on their investment. Now, the secret to our success is really what we've done around automation. We've taken the data applications that people run on-premise or in the cloud, and take that complex architecture of backup jobs, schedules, managing the archives, and then managing jobs, and take that complexity and boil it down into a single declarative SLA policy. And so really all you have to do is bring your recovery point objectives, your recovery time objectives, and tell us where you want to archive your data to, map it into a policy, and then Rubrik figures out how to manage that at scale. And so no longer you have to understand what my backup window is and when should I run my backups. Rubrik's analytics engine can figure that out underneath their covers. We do that at scale and give you the ability to have that maintained protection level. And again, we're designed for recovery. So not only do we back up your data, but we index it after we've backed it up. And we build this global metadata index that allows us to search for any object, any file, virtual machine, database to the granular level and recover that object back. Whether that's on-premise or if it's been migrated to the cloud, it doesn't matter. And really, when we do recovery, we're optimized for excelling recovery. And that's partly due to our architecture design. It's also because we have this ability of just having this metadata that allows us to pull back a single object if it even went to the cloud. And the ability to do instant recovery, whether it's a virtual machine, database, file set, running that instantly off of Rubrik gives you that near zero RTO capability. And for many of our customers, the live out functionality we deliver is one of the reasons why we excel in the business resiliency space. And then we do everything securely. We're secure by design. Not only do we do data protection at scale, we also do it encrypted, both not only at rest but in transit. We use a zero trust methodology for all of our communication and authentication. So we really are enforcing the good principles of security. And we've built our own file system, and we have this natural immutability to ransomware, and we're going to walk through that here today. But it gives us really a leg up on on the not only the industry but the attackers. We have a way to guarantee a resilient copy of data, and our customers across the globe have been able to leverage this and depend on that for recovery at scale from these type of attacks. And the reason why we can do this at scale is everything is driven by APIs. Everything you see today that I show you in the demo is really calling an API under the cover. And if you never want to log into the UI after you deploy Rubrik, you don't have to. You can do everything as infrastructure as code or backup as code. We have a natural extension, not only with our own private community we call Build here at Rubrik, but we also publish out in the open source community on GitHub well over 100 projects that integrate with Rubrik across many different areas, whether it's monitoring, service catalog integration, including vRealize, automation at scale, your favorite automation framework. We absolutely have integration packets for those, pre-built code for a lot of those. And so for a lot of our customers, automation is king. And so we deliver this all together. What we deliver here at Rubrik is what we consider the next generation of cloud data management. We do this by bringing in backup modernization, leveraging that SLA policy engine on that API first platform. And again, we do this not only for on-premise, but we do this for the cloud. And for cloud to us, it's not only archive, it's also helping customers move and lift shift workloads to the cloud. And then when they become cloud first or cloud native, or protecting those assets in the cloud with the first party approach. And that also includes things like Office 365. Now we do this indexing again, and when we bring this index under management, we take it into a platform we call Polaris. Now Polaris is a metadata management lake, and the benefit of doing this is that we have this understanding of the metadata that has allowed us to extend a series of rich applications on top of it. So once customers are managing their on-premise or cloud data with Rubrik, we have this ability to take and tap that metadata and extend a set of applications. And one of those is called Radar. And Radar is a cyber resiliency engine that works on top of the backup data looking for suspect activity or signatures of things like a ransomware attack. If it sees that, it alerts on that and it helps you accelerate recovery. And we'll walk through that product today. And then we have another product we released this past year called Sonar. And Sonar is a rich data classification engine. Again, works from the point of the backup, but helps customers understand where the sensitive information is in their business, helps them classify that, manage the risk of it, and gives them global visibility back. And again, all working from the point of a backup on top of the metadata. And then again, journey to the cloud. One of the things that customers recognize is that the cloud is a cost-efficient place to archive to. And so we give you the simple policy-based approach to archive to the cloud, and that can be any of the major hyperscalers. It can be private cloud, anything that's S3 compatible. And that's what a majority of our customers start with their cloud journey with us. But once some of the customers get to the cloud, they say, I want to leverage the cloud to be my DR resort of choice, or I want to take and lift and shift applications that were on-premise, now run them in the cloud. We have the ability to migrate that and not only get it there, but also convert it into the cloud native format. So if you think about it from on-premise, I may be VMware on site, but I want to go to Azure and I need to run workloads as Azure infrastructure as a service. Rubrik will convert that data once it's been migrated or backed up there into the cloud native format and allow you to power it on. Now, obviously, thinking about things like VMware on AWS or VMware on Google Cloud, those are just native formats, so there's no migration required there. We can still back them up and get the data there. And then for customers who do make that complete shift to the cloud or bring up infrastructure as a service type of first approach, it doesn't make sense to back up that data all back on the premise, leveraging our appliance approach. So Rubrik has that same SLA policy engine delivered through automation at scale from the Polaris platform, and we leverage the API economy to be able to do that and keep that in the cloud native formats. And so with Rubrik, you really are future-proof as you make your journey to the cloud. Again, Office 365 would be the other SaaS product that we protect, and it's using the same SLA approach, but driven using the native APIs. And our benefit with Office 365 protection here is that we don't have to bring it back on premise. It's in the cloud, so we keep it in the cloud and give you that same ability to do flexible recovery across all the Office 365 suite applications, whether it be Mail, OneDrive, SharePoint, Teams, etc. Because of what we've done, we've always been recognized as a leader in the Magic Quadrant. We are the most forward-thinking in terms of visionary and innovation. We obviously are growing at scale and continuously to increase in the quadrant year over year. The reason why we're recognized for what we do is not only the ability to have again, flexibility at scale, which is a hallmark of being able to do multi-petabyte size customers. We were really recognized for what we're talking about today. With ransomware detection and remediation, and our accelerated recovery for first-party integration with databases as well. But let's talk about that cyber resiliency. So I kicked off that ransomware attack, and we've got a machine there that's been impacted. But we're going to go through and recover and why customers come to Rubrik for the solution. And Palo Alto Networks, obviously, worldwide leader in terms of security in the industry. They're also a Rubrik customer. And they've made the investment because they understand the fact that even though they have all these security products in their organization, they still need to have a last line of defense. And they really believe, Naveen believes, that the main reason to look at backup now in 2021 would be for protection against ransomware, and it still holds true. And the reason is it's a global crisis. We obviously dealt with a big pandemic this past year. We're still dealing with it, but ransomware could be almost a pandemic by itself. The average ransom paid last year all in, so the cost of the attack and the recovery of the attack was over $1 million. And that's honestly almost on the low side. We have had customers that come to Rubrik after the fact, and they're essentially buying fire insurance the day after the fire, but they paid well north of that number. And it really is one of the top things, in the business today. And it's not just the security or the infrastructure teams that's worrying about it, it's the boardroom. And, the fact that it's made it to the boardroom has changed the landscape. I mean, if you're in organizations, I'm sure you're hearing about it from your CEO and chief financial officer, where they never really would care about this before, but now it's top of mind to them. It's not only keeping, the business secure, it's brand reputation and all the compliance requirements that come along with it. It's become a board level item. Right? Now, the problem with ransomware in the landscape today is, that quick recovery is really a pipe dream, right? The average recovery just to get some operational state back is well over 7 days for a lot of customers to get hit with ransomware that don't have a solution like Rubrik. And unfortunately, backup used to be your last line of defense. Not all backup is equal. And for some customers, backup's no longer that last line of defense because backups get attacked at the same time. And for many customers, when they do have an event, understanding the blast radius or what was actually impacted, or taken or encrypted during the event is not always easy to determine, if not timely. And so, for some customers, the answer is let's pay the ransom, unfortunately. Now with Rubrik, we have native immutability, and I'll walk you through what that means. But the reason why we've done what we've done is, unfortunately, today's landscape, again, ransomware understands not only how to protect or to impact and attack production systems and production storage. If you think about traditional backup using disk-to-disk targets, they're using the same open protocols as production systems do. So they get attacked just the same way, and oftentimes the repositories get encrypted and they're taken down as well. And so they're often the first attack things that are attacked as well in a type of a ransomware event. And when you don't have a resilient copy to come back from, the chances you paying a ransom go up substantially. Now with Rubrik, if an attack comes in the environment, it's obviously still going to probably find your production systems and your production storage. But when it goes to try to enumerate and attack the Rubrik backup system, the Rubrik backup system where we write your data is never directly connected to the network. There's no open protocols to it. There's no NFS. There's no SMB. There's no S3. The logical file system that we write your data into is logically air-gapped. Even if it could mount it now, the thing is they wouldn't be able to change or impact the data, because the other thing about the Rubrik file system is it's an append-only architecture. So once data is written into it, there's no modify operation. We physically took modify out. And so when you look at it from the kind of a network level, you have this immutable copy of your data in an append-only fashion that can't be modified because it's logically air-gapped. Now, it doesn't mean that the Rubrik appliances aren't connected to the network, because they are. But when we bring out a copy of your data to do recovery, it's only using a clone of the copy of the data, and the original data is never impacted, never connected, and still never exposed. And so from that, we have this resilient copy to build upon, and we build upon that with our solution we call Radar. And Radar is our cyber resiliency tool. It gives our customers, the ability to drive one-click recovery on files and applications and data sets. It leverages that immutable backup that, again, can't be modified or changed or deleted. And it has built-in rich analytics that are machine learning powered to help you identify kind of what the impact is, assess it, and then help you accelerate that recovery. Okay. We do this all through next generation machine learning. And so we've got a pretty enhanced model that's been built. It's just more than just basic rate of change analysis. We're really doing some deep learning on your data sets. And again, it does learn and normalize to our customers. So as you use Rubrik in your environment, we understand how your activity is, and we learn that into the pattern. And so we have a very high success rate in terms of catching activity. And when we see that activity, we give you global visibility down to the file resolution level, and then give you the ability to drive in that from a forensics level and drive that recovery. So let me show it to you kind of in action here. So we kicked off that ransomware attack. And if I go in here to my file shares, I've got a ton of data that's been encrypted. Right? So this machine's pretty much been taken hostage. And so after a backup runs, we have this analytic engine. It's called Radar. And when it's turned on here, customers automatically get the benefit of background scanning. Now, when it ran off the backup, it detected some anomalous activity in a couple of my systems here. And if I go into that system where it flagged it at, you can see that we detected this activity here this morning, and that we had not only anomalous activity with high levels of confidence, we had high levels of entropy or encryption. Now, the power of our Radar product, though, is that you can peel back the layer of the onion and see exactly into the file systems, exactly what was impacted. And so as I get down on my file shares here, I can see that attack that ran. And I can drill right into the file level itself and see exactly which files are modified, which ones are deleted, which ones are encrypted, which ones are suspicious. And I can understand that I've got this event, right? So I've got this data that's been encrypted, attacked, and I need to recover. Now, for the demo here, I'll just recover one of these, but I can drive through and drive recovery at scale because Rubrik understands how to go back and recover the last known good. And so if you think about it, Rubrik's got all these previous versions of data under management. We can rewind time like a DVR, and we can go back and surgically figure out which files are encrypted when and where, and recover the data that was impacted. The good data stays. We can do that different ways. So if it was anomalous activity from a user perspective, let's say, someone in marketing deleted 10,000 files or moved files of that directory, which would be a massive amount of change that wouldn't be normally seen in the business, we can drive recovery back into the original location. If I was networked down, I could do a download offsite. That would bring down tarball or zip file that data, and I'd be able to pull the data out that I need. Now, if you're up and running, or if you did a live mount of a new virtual machine and you want to recover back the good data back into that new copy, so you're keeping the original for forensics, you can drive recovery into that location, and that's what I'll do here. So I'll kick off recovery here, and then Rubrik, again, because we're performance at scale, it'll do this recovery pretty quick. So it's going to kick off and start to build that data set. So I'll give it here just a minute, and it's going to go through and start recovering the files back to last known good. And so if I go into my machine here, I kick off my recovery directory. Yep, it's already coming in. And the recovered encrypted data. Look at that. I copied the wrong one. I told it to recover suspicious files. So I'm doing exactly what I told it to do. Get a live demo here. Let's go back and not recover suspicious files. Just delete his files. All right. There we go. We'll kick that one off. But essentially, that's what it's going to do. It's going to go out and kick off another recovery for me and start bringing that data back. It did actually bring back some of the unencrypted data as well, but it brought back everything because I told it to bring back encrypted and non-encrypted data. So my bad there. But that's essentially what Radar does. And Radar has been built to really be kind of the recovery engine for file resiliency. Now, on top of that, we have another product again called Sonar, and Sonar is really there to help you understand what's in your files. So if you think about a ransomware attack, not only do data get taken hostage, it also gets exfiltrated, right? And so if you have that kind of event happen, you need to understand where the sensitive information is in your business, why it was in, what was taken, what the sensitivity is, and is it a compliant requirement? And so at Rubrik, we help you understand the second half of this as well. So not only do we have, the data exfiltration component that's being addressed, we have the ability to classify and index that and give you an understanding of the risk that goes around with that. So, if you had a data exfiltration, what would happen with the ransomware attack, we're going to give you the understanding of what PII, PHI, PCI type of data may have been there, what the impact is from a compliance perspective. So you're mitigating kind of not only brand damage, but lawsuit capabilities, and then helping you understand when you report back to the compliance side, what was exposed, right? A lot of industries have HIPAA, PCI, requirements. And so if they had an event, they still have to disclose that it happened, and being able to tell exactly what happened is key. And we deliver that again through Sonar. And Sonar is really one of the tools that a lot of our customers, bring in because it gives them the ability to have this kind of visibility, and it gives a view to the business that their chief risk officer, chief data officers want. And so we do this all again from the point of backup. It really is there to give you full rich classification from the point of our systems doing this automatically after every backup. We index this data. Again, this is working on unstructured data, and we automate that classification through a policy-based approach. And so a rich product that's available today for customers. And when you think about Rubrik's Radar and Sonar products together, we're really bringing together a security suite on top of our backups. And so we are not only detecting and recovering from ransomware and malware now, we're bringing the ability of data governance component. And data governance for us is data classification today. Very soon, it'll also be bringing in user activity traffic. So you'll not only be able to say what information is sensitive to the business, you'll be able to say who's reading it, who's writing it, and understand that as it moves, migrates across the cloud. We bring this all together through our risk control center and give you that rich visualization so you can see that globally all in. And then at Rubrik, we have an API first economy already. So we partner with key security vendors to extend this value, both into SIEM and SOAR solutions. And then if you think about the automation frameworks, whether it be, again, vRealize, service desk management, whatever it may be, giving you that ability to tie into your existing tools to give you that recovery at scale with the solution. So I'll go ahead and open it up for any questions here that may have come across. It's a lot of information in a short amount of time, but I want to make sure we stay on schedule here.
Hey, question.
Yeah.
Does Rubrik have a PowerShell module?
It does. We do.
So perfect.
Let me go out here real quick. So if you go to build.rubrik.com, you can see everything that we have integration packs for. And so PowerShell, Go, Python, but we have used the SDKs for pretty much every language under the sun. And then we have integrations for Ansible, Terraform, CloudFormation. And if you wanted to get the first party integration packs from Rubrik, they're all listed here. And then if you go to our GitHub repository, all of the community sourced repositories here are well. So if you go to the projects here, it'll give you the ability to go to our community projects, and then those jump off into our GitHub repository. And from there's about 90 different projects that are committed out there. And both of those are maintained from Rubrik and then the community itself. And so if there's something that you find that you want that we don't integrate with today, let us know. I've got a technical product marketing team that loves to take a challenge on integrating into something that we haven't done before. And we're probably one of the leaders in the space when it comes to automation and scale. thanks for the question. I guess I'll poll the audience. Anybody using Rubrik today in their environment?
Yeah, we use it at Berkeley College.
Great. Thanks for being a customer.
Not yet, but soon.
It's even better answer. See if
Yeah,
there's any
I have
questions.
a question. I put it in the chat. Can you explain the immutability and how it actually works and how you're right to something that's air gapped, et cetera?
Sure. Yeah. So I don't have a slide on this machine to pull it up, but I'll walk you through it. So essentially, we wrote our own file system at Rubrik, right? And the file system at Rubrik is called Atlas. Now, the Atlas file system, while it's highly distributed, it's also never directly connected to the network. What I mean by that is, traditional file systems have a protocol that you can write into it from the network side. So like SMB, NFS, S3, direct IO path. We decided by design not to do that. And so the only way to write data into the Atlas Data Vault is an internal API that's non-routable. We call that the Rubrik Reader Writer service. And so when you back up data to Rubrik, you're actually landing in a temporal zone. And we take and then build a patch file. And that patch file is your data encrypted, digitally fingerprinted, and then we commit that into our file system. Now that file system, again, is been designed for performance. So even though we're writing into an air gap file system, it doesn't mean we can't bring data back out of it and recover from it. But that logical air gap is kind of one of the pieces of the equation. The other thing about the file system, again, is it's append only. And what that means is all writes happen out of place. So as we write these patch files into essentially our file system, they're never modifying a previous patch file. So even if the data is updating a previous point in time or previous block of data, it just writes a new file. And then we have the ability through our file system to read that back kind of from the top down. So we're always one app away from reading back a full stripe or bringing back a full set of data. And so we don't have, we don't even have a hydration penalty on deduplication and compression reading back because we understand our entire IO stack. And we can do that at scale. It's one of the reasons why we have this performance that we have. But those two things come together. The append only our design of our file system, and then our logical air gap are why we have this resilient copy that's really kind of that basis for recovery. But that's how we achieve it. And it's something that's really shocked the industry, honestly. I mean, if you look at a lot of the solutions from people we consider competitors, their architecture isn't that same way, so they have to come up with different ways to achieve the same level of immutability. Oftentimes it's another set of hardware. Sometimes it's network-based, air gapping, where you have to disconnect the network when you're not backing up, which sounds good on paper, but most people never not backing up anymore. A lot of our large enterprise customers are backing up 24/7, so they're never not disconnected from the network. So things like that. I mean, it's nothing wrong or right. It's just we had a chance to do a little bit of a different design, and that's how we achieve it.
Hey, another question for you. Sorry to bombard you.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Are you familiar with STIGs, DoD STIGs?
Yes, actually, we publish a STIG for all of Rubrik's products and appliances. So I can make that available to you too. But yeah, we have STIGs for deployment, and then we also have our certifications, ATOs to operate in most DoD intelligence community already. Is
that is the auditing piece of the STIGs automated too, or do you have to do like manual STIGs, like kind of like VMware?
We have a published STIG guide, but you can automate it because everything we do again is API first. So if you want to deploy the configuration through the API, you can absolutely do that.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep. And if you want to drop me an email, again, dsiles@rubrik.com, I'll be happy to get that to you. We also have a best practice hardening guide, kind of the, we pre-harden the system as much as we can before we ship it to you, but there's some things have to be hardened after the customer's deployed it. Like once you've made the decision, how do you want to connect it to your Active Directory or LDAP services, things along those lines. So we have a best practice guide that kind of round out the best practices on how to, take advantage of all the security controls we have in the system. I'm looking to see in the chat here real quick, see if there's any questions. Someone said, I need a secure data for SEC FINRA and worm format. Is this something you can support? It absolutely is. So The append-only I design of the architecture automatically gives you the non-modification capability. We also have the ability to retention lock that SLA policy engine. And that SLA policy engine feature we call is called retention lock, and it's an SEC FINRA compliant governance solution. It's also been COHACIT validated for FINRA SEC compliance. So I'd be happy to get you that information, Greg, as well. I'll drop my email in the chat for everybody. Okay.
Any other questions?
Doesn't look like it. I think everybody else either asked it on the phone or I just put that in there. But yeah, I mean, again, if you the rubric's not shy. If you actually want to come in and test the product, we're happy to give you the ability to give the experience. Mike, Rubrik actually detect ransomware. Yeah, so how our detection engine works, just so you understand, is we have two different machine level pipelines. The first is we do heuristic-based analysis on user activity. So how the files are being modified, how they're being changed, how they're being added, deleted, and the weight of the files, right? System-generated files that have a different weight versus human-generated content. And then for the content analysis, we use heuristic-based determination. So we're not using signatures. So we're not going to go out and say it's virus abc.xyz. We look at heuristics to see how the data were impacted. And this is the reason why we do that is if you think about today's landscape, AV, malware, everybody's got it deployed, but ransomware still gets through it because signature-based detection is only as good as what's found in the wild. So we do heuristics by design to be able to leverage, the kind of suspect activity. So we're looking at things like entropy, magic byte modifications, permission changes, MIME type mismatch, ACL type of detection, drift and things like that. And that comes together in the model. We have those two pipelines that come together and form the alerts. And so it'll actually catch zero-day or polymorphed activity, but it's not going to say it's this version of the Zook or Rock or something like that. It's not going to be signature driven from that perspective. So, and again, it's file level heuristics, and we do this post process. Again, if Radar is the first product that tells you you've had a ransomware attack, it's already happened. We do detection after the fact. So we're there to be that last line of defense and at the end of the kill chain and give you the recovery if you've had an event. And so, really the team that uses Radar the most is customers who are infrastructure operators who are always the ones that get called at the end of the day to still drive recovery after an event. The security team likes the information, but it's really meant to be that resiliency recovery tool for that backup team. Great. All right, he added something here. Long story short, my concern is the data being encrypted, not detected. Ends up getting backed up. Bad experience. Gotcha. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, so data being encrypted and not detected. Yeah, absolutely. That's why we have those two different levels of analytics that happen together. Encryption that happens that's not good encryption. So we, in our model for encryption detection, we understand file level encryption that's been done in the right way, or it's kind of registered and it's done by a known good process. Because people do file level encryption and system level encryption today. We obviously don't want to flag on that being good activity, but if it's doing the kind of stuff that happens during a ransomware attack, which just happens encryption as fast as possible, typically, that's kind of built in there. So, but happy to follow up with you, Mike, and you want to drive into it deeper, happy to set you up for that. Thanks for the question. Yeah. And don't forget to go out to the survey form that my marketing team dropped in the chat, I think a little bit ago. Please feel free to fill that out, and then we'll get you into the drawing for the giveaways. And maybe John can refresh that just to have people have it there at the top of the chat. We're there to be that last line of defense and at the end of the kill chain and give you the recovery if you've had an event. And so, really the team that uses Radar the most is customers who are infrastructure operators who are always the ones that get called at the end of the day to still drive recovery after an event. The security team likes the information, but it's really meant to be that resiliency recovery tool for that backup team. Great. All right, he added something here. Long story short, my concern is the data being encrypted, not detected. Ends up getting backed up. Bad experience. Gotcha. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, so data being encrypted and not detected. Yeah, absolutely. That's why we have those two different levels of analytics that happen together. Encryption that happens that's not good encryption. So we, in our model for encryption detection, we understand file level encryption that's been done in the right way, or it's kind of registered and it's done by a known good process. Because people do file level encryption and system level encryption today. We obviously don't want to flag on that being good activity, but if it's doing the kind of stuff that happens during a ransomware attack, which just happens encryption as fast as possible, typically, that's kind of built in there. So, but happy to follow up with you, Mike, and you want to drive into it deeper, happy to set you up for that. Thanks for the question. Yeah. And don't forget to go out to the survey form that my marketing team dropped in the chat, I think a little bit ago. Please feel free to fill that out, and then we'll get you into the drawing for the giveaways. And maybe John can refresh that just to have people have it there at the top of the chat. I put it there. I found it. But otherwise, I appreciate the chance to come today. Again, always love the community, and you guys have a great meeting. Looks like you had a great turnout today. So thanks for having Rubrik.